Okay, imagine this. You could actually talk to someone after they died.
Right.
Not like some spooky seance, but like a business meeting. You book an appointment, go to this cold room.
Yeah, a consultation. And then in that same world, imagine your front door won't let you leave unless you pay it 5 cents.
Or your coffee machine is threatening to sue you. It sounds completely wild, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the world we're diving into today. It's this bizarre, strangely mundane reality pulled straight from Philip K. Dick's novel, Ubik. It's dense, it's weird, and honestly, it's totally gripping.
In the book, it just throws you right in, no easing you into it. You land in this place that feels a bit like ours, annoying appliances, money troubles, but everything's twisted by weird tech and psychic stuff.
It feels familiar and just completely alien at the same time.
Yeah. So our mission for this deep dive is basically to figure this world out right alongside the characters.
Huh.
We'll pull out the main ideas, meet the people stuck in this mess, and track the crazy events as they happen in the text.
Exactly. We're trying to unpack this narrative that really makes you second guess, well, everything. Reality, life, death, the whole package.
So yeah, buckle up. It's going to get strange and
Buckle up.
definitely make you think.
Okay, let's start with the basics of this future world. The main company we meet right off the bat is Runciter Associates.
Right. And they operate in a world where psychic abilities, psi talents, they call them, are a real problem.
A real threat, yeah.
Yeah.
You see those ads in the story, like, is a stranger tuning in on you? That kind of thing.
So Runciter Associates is the defense, the counterforce.
Pretty much. They're an anti-psi organization. They hire people called inertials.
Inertials. Okay, what do they do?
Think of them like human static. They block psychic abilities or counter them. The text mentions anti-precogs who mess with predicting the future, anti-animators, stuff like that.
Okay, got it. And it's not just psychic powers that are different. Their whole take on death is something else. This half-life idea.
Oh yeah, half-life. It's the state where consciousness or something like consciousness can be kept going after the body dies.
Oh.
They're stored in these cold pack units, usually in places called moratoriums, like the beloved Brethren Moratorium in Switzerland, run by this guy Herbert Schönheit von Vogelsang.
So you can talk to them.
Yeah, limited communication. Consultation, they call it. It's treated almost like a business transaction.
Which is so weirdly fascinating, taking something huge like consciousness after death and making it commercial. Like you schedule a meeting with your dead relative.
Exactly. And the prime example is Ella Runciter. She's Glen Runciter's wife. She's in Half-Life. And he consults her regularly for business advice.
It really drives home that theme, doesn't it? How everything, even grief or memory, just gets bought and sold in this world.
Totally. And speaking of the weirdness, let's talk about Joe Chip. He kind of embodies the everyday struggle in this future.
He works for Runciter, right? A field tester. And he's always broke.
Constantly broke. And you see it immediately with his own apartment. This is maybe the first big clue that things are fundamentally off, even before the main plot kicks in hard.
Because his door demands money.
His door demands a nickel just to let him out. His newspaper machine wants payment. His phone, too. It's hilarious and also deeply unsettling.
He says something like, "I've never been sued by a door before," which just sums it up perfectly.
It grounds you in how bizarre this normal is. It's not just high-tech sci-fi. It's a future where basic things are trying to nickel and dime you, literally.
And all this personal weird stuff is happening while Runciter Associates is in this big conflict with a rival, Ray Hollis.
Yeah, Hollis uses psi talents, unlike Runciter who fights them.
Yeah.
So there's this constant corporate espionage vibe, this tension bubbling under the surface.
Okay, so you've got psi powers, anti-psi guys, Half-Life, talking appliances, and then Pat Conley shows up.
Right, Pat. She's brought in by Gigi Atchwood. She's supposed to be this amazing new anti-precog talent for Runciter.
But her ability isn't just blocking foresight, is it? It's weirder.
Much weirder. Instead of just stopping a precog someone who sees the future, she kind of overwhelms them. She makes all possible futures seem equally real at the same time.
Like a hall of mirrors for time.
Sort of. The book describes it like a beehive filled with identical glowing cells. The precog sees them all, but can't tell which one is the future, the one that will actually happen, so they're paralyzed, unable to act.
Wow, okay. And Joe Chip tests her.
He does, and his internal reaction is immediate distrust. He literally thinks, watch this person, she is a hazard, she is dangerous.
But then he tells Runciter to hire her.
Yep. Publicly, he says, hire her, at whatever cost required. Totally contradicts his gut feeling.
So what's going on there? Is she influencing him already, or is Joe just being Joe?
It's a huge red flag right away. And then Pat adds to the mystery herself. She mentions having experienced a previous present where Joe reacted differently, a reality she claims she eradicated.
Whoa, okay, so maybe she can mess with time or reality itself, not just perception of the future.
Exactly. It hints at something much more powerful and maybe dangerous.
And they don't waste any time putting her to work, right? This mission comes up.
Yeah, an urgent mission to Luna the Moon. Runciter thinks Ray Hollis's Saelasis have infiltrated a facility there.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. Runciter puts all his negotiable assets into it.
And they bring along a client representative, Miss Zoe Wirt.
Representing Stanton Mick, supposedly. Though that turns out to be complicated later. They gather a big team of inertials, initially 38, but narrow it down to 11 key people. Joe and Pat are in that group.
And the Luna facility itself is kind of strange, too.
More weird rules, coin-operated rec rooms, regulations about relationships. It fits that theme of control and, well, petty commercialism everywhere.
So Joe does his checks. Does he find any enemy psychics?
Nope. His instruments show nothing. No psi field from Hollis's people. Just their own anti-psi field reading a normal level, 2,000 blur units. Everything looks clear.
Which means they walked right into it.
Exactly. Because then, bang,
Yeah.
a humanoid bomb explodes. Just detonates right there.
Chaos, smoke, damage, and Runciter gets hit.
Runciter takes the brunt of it. He's badly injured.
So the mission's a disaster. They need to get out, get Runciter help.
Priority 1 is getting Runciter into the ship's cold pack unit to try and preserve him for half-life. But what's weird is their escape is too easy. No one ambushes them on the way back to the ship.
Huh. And then things really start going sideways, right? On the ship.
This is where reality starts to fray at the edges. Joe tries to call the moratorium in Zurich, needs the phone book from the ship's comm system. The phone book is dated 1990. But the ship is brand new. Way newer than that.
Edie Dorn points it out, doesn't she? The ship didn't exist 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's the first really solid crack in their reality. Time isn't working right.
And the phones themselves are acting up when they try to call.
Totally. They get recordings saying the number is obsolete or the system demands old money.
Like Joe's old coin.
Right. He finds this 40-year-old U.S. quarter, George Washington, Philadelphia Mint, a recalled issue, and the phone just rejects it. It needs currency from the past.
Okay, that's deeply weird. And it's not just the tech. Joe notices other stuff.
Small things at first. His coffee is suddenly cold, kind of scummy. And he has this horrible realization that the money Pat Conley paid him earlier, it's now worthless, outdated currency too.
Oh, wow. So time isn't just unstable, it's actively regressing, pulling them backward.
Feels like it's dissolving around them, yeah. Starting small, but getting worse.
And it doesn't stay small for long. They get pulled back. Way back.
Yeah, the regression kicks into high gear.
Yeah.
They find themselves stuck, seemingly, in 1939.
1939, how does that manifest?
Everywhere, the environment just changes. They encounter a taxi driver from that era. A newspaper costs 3 cents.
And Joe's apartment.
It physically transforms. His modern appliances become antiques, a gas stove, an old icebox-style fridge with a belt drive, a non-pop-up toaster, an AM radio, a phone you can't even dial.
Even the building itself changes.
The moving ramp turns into regular stairs. Outside, the cars shift from modern models to things like Model of Fords. It's pervasive. They're just in 1939.
And Dick uses the specific details of that time, right? The culture, the politics.
Oh, yeah. Characters mention Lindbergh, isolationism, Roosevelt. There's language and attitudes that Joe, being from the future, finds really jarring and uncomfortable. He thinks something like, we know too much to live comfortably in this time segment.
Okay, this is terrifying. The world is literally falling apart, regressing around them. But it gets worse, doesn't it? It affects them physically.
That's the truly horrifying part. As the environment decays, so do they. People start deteriorating.
Like Wendy.
Al Hammond.
Yeah, the descriptions are chilling. Edie Dorn becomes like 10 pounds of skin and hair in a plastic bag.
Yeah.
It's grotesque. And then Joe realizes it's starting to happen to him. His own body is showing signs of decay.
So the decay isn't just outside them, it's in them. They're linked to this degrading reality.
Completely linked. And right in the middle of this horror, Joe finds a message, apparently from Runciter,
Where?
scrawled on the wall in a men's restroom. Simple, direct, and absolutely shattering.
What does it say?
We were all killed in the blast.
Oh, man. So it's confirmation. Confirmation. They're dead. The trip to 1939, the physical decay. It's not killing them. It's what happens because they're already dead. They're in half-life. And Runciter is somehow talking to them from his own half-life state.
Okay. Wow, so they're dead, trapped in this decaying, backwards reality. What do they even do with that information?
Well, Al Hammond tries to make sense of it. He makes a list, trying to find a pattern in the chaos. Stale cigarettes, out-of-date phone book, obsolete money, putrefied food.
Just cataloging the weirdness, a very human reaction, trying to find logic.
Exactly, but then they find something that doesn't fit the pattern of decay, something different.
The Ubik ad on the
Yeah.
matchbook.
Yeah, an ad for this product called Ubik.
Yeah.
The ad copy itself is pure PKD weirdness. Instant Ubik, your husband will say, Christ, Sally, promises to make you new again.
And it claims to reverse the decay, the regression.
One invisible puff whisk banishes compulsive obsessive fears that the entire world is turning into clotted milk. It explicitly says it fights reversion.
So Al Hammond figures this is different, not part of the problem, but maybe a solution.
That's his leap. This Ubik ad isn't like the stale cigarettes or old money. It's offering help. He thinks maybe they can contact Runciter, or whoever sent the ad. By following its instructions, there's a box number in Des Moines, Iowa.
Des Moines! Way there!
Turns out Runciter was born in Des Moines, so it connects back to him, gives them a destination, a thread of hope. Joe heads there and meets up with some of the other survivors.
And that's where they confront Pat Conley again, based on another message from Runciter.
Right. Runciter gets another message through, this time written on a traffic ticket Joe finds. And this message points the finger squarely at Pat.
What does Runciter say now?
He tells Joe, she's lying to you, Joe. It's you, your talent. We're here because of you. He thinks she's the one causing all this, actively working against them in Half-Life.
And the others believe it?
Denny directly accuses her. You're killing us one by one.
How does Pat react?
Chillingly. She just smiles.
Hmm.
And then the hotel lobby therein explodes.
Okay, so that definitely points to her involvement. But maybe not exactly how Runciter thought.
It's ambiguous.
Hmm.
Is she the primary cause or just another player in this nightmare? During the explosion, Joe collapses. His body is failing, fast.
He's trying to climb stairs and she just watches.
Watches him struggle, completely indifferent. It's brutal.
And while Joe's at his lowest, basically dying again, Runciter sends another message. A clearer one.
Yeah, a much longer, more explanatory message comes through from Runciter in Half-Life. He lays it all out.
Finally, what's the real story?
First, he confirms it flat out. Joe asks, are we dead, the rest of us?
Mm.
Runciter, yes. No ambiguity left.
So the decay is just part of being dead.
Exactly. Runciter calls it the normal decay. He says Ella experienced it. Everyone who enters Half-Life experiences it. This hits Joe hard. He feels betrayed, lied to, because it's such a horrific truth.
But what about Pat then? If she's not causing the fundamental decay?
Runciter clarifies her role. Yes, she lured them to the moon. Yes, her talent is connected with time reversion, but it's not like she's a time traveler controlling everything. Runciter says he sent the Ubik ads to motivate them, to get them to fight back, to find Ubik.
So he was trying to help. But Pat?
But Pat kept interfering. Runciter says she kept drawing everyone into the past. Over and over again, she regressed it and made it worthless. She was sabotaging Runciter's attempts to send them Ubik, the antidote.
Okay, so she's still an antagonist, but maybe not the ultimate source of the suffering. Who does Runciter think is?
He throws out a new theory.
Yeah.
Not Hollis, their business rival, but something else, something inside Half-Life. He calls it an irresponsible entity, a polymorphic perverse agency which likes to watch, an infantile retarded entity, and he specifically suspects a boy mentioned earlier named Jory.
Jory. And does Joe meet him?
Oh yes, this leads to the big horrifying reveal. A young boy appears in Joe's hotel room, says he's Jory.
And what does Jory say?
He confirms everything, this awful casual cruelty, admits he killed Wendy and Denny, says he eats their life, what's left of it in Half-Life.
Eats them. How?
The description is nightmare fuel. Gray, shabby teeth, a grubby tongue. He even offers to let Joe hear the voices of his victims from inside his mouth. It's grotesque.
So Jory's the predator within Half-Life. He's the one accelerating the decay for his own purposes.
Exactly. He admits he started Joe's final decay in the lobby. But, and this is crucial, he can't affect Joe right now.
Why not?
Because Joe used the Ubik spray he found earlier. Jory recognizes Ubik. He knows it comes from outside their Half-Life environment, saying something like, only words can usually get in from outside.
So Jory is this malignant force, Runciter suspected, living inside Half-Life and feeding on others. But Ubik is something beyond his control. Something from the living world, maybe?
That seems to be it. He's a parasite preying on the consciousnesses trapped there, which makes their situation even more terrifying. Not just dead, but hunted.
So Ubik is the defense, the only thing that works against this decay and against Jory.
It seems to function that way, yeah. Based on the ads and the fact it protects Joe, It reverses the half-life decay process,
Hmm.
offers temporary protection, revitalization, a shield.
And then Ella Runciter appears again within this 1939 reality.
Yeah, Ella manifests to Joe. She's also in half-life, obviously, but seems different, maybe further along, closer to rebirth, which is hinted at as a possibility.
What does she do for Joe?
She gives him something vital, a certificate for a lifetime supply of Ubik. But she also warns him Ubik can hold Jory off, nullify his effects, but probably can't destroy him entirely from inside half-life.
A lifetime supply, so Joe tries to cash it in.
He goes to a drugstore in the 1939 setting, desperate for more Ubik. But the druggist?
Let me guess. It's Jory.
It's Jory in disguise, which shows Jory can manipulate the appearance of the half-life world, create illusions, masquerade as people.
But he can't actually provide the real Ubik.
Apparently not. He can run the fake drugstore, but he doesn't control the actual supply of the substance that fights the decay. That seems to come from somewhere else entirely.
Okay, so the story's heading towards some kind of final confrontation. Joe versus Jory.
It feels like it,
Mm.
but it's complicated. Joe is ultimately tricked and overcome by Jory as the pharmacist. He fails to get more Ubik, and the decay starts overwhelming him again. It looks like the end.
But it's not.
Not quite. Just when Joe seems completely lost, this girl appears.
Another manifestation. Who is she?
She seems to be from 1992, maybe from the Ubik Corporation itself, almost like Joe's desperate need for Ubik summoned her. And she actually quotes lines from the Ubik as Runciter was sending.
Like, the reversion of matter can be reversed.
Exactly that kind of line. And she sprays Joe with Ubik.
Ah, so he gets revitalized again. Saved at the last second.
Temporarily, yes. He's pulled back from the brink.
Yeah.
But the final image of the book, that's what really messes with your head.
What happened?
Joe reaches into his pocket. He finds a coin, a 50-cent piece.
Okay.
And on the coin, dated 1992, is Joe Chip's face.
His face on the money. Whoa.
Yeah. So what does that even mean? If all the decay and regression and Jory are part of half-life, but Joe himself is now appearing on the currency of this supposedly real world.
Where does one end and the other begin? It completely dissolves the boundary.
Exactly. Maybe Joe isn't just visiting half-life. Maybe he's part of it in a way he didn't realize.
Sure.
Or maybe everyone is caught in some layer of this unstable reality.
That the struggle against things falling apart, against these hidden forces, is just the human condition.
Could be. So we've gone through this whole crazy journey, the anti-psi stuff, the half-life business, the disastrous mission, falling back into the past, learning they're dead, meeting the predator Jory, finding hope in Ubik.
It's a wild ride. And these ideas, they're not just cool sci-fi concepts, are they? Dick uses them to make you, the listener, really think about your own reality. What's solid? What's perception? What happens when your world starts feeling unstable?
Yeah. How does Joe's bizarre experience make you look at the world around you? And that final image, Joe on the coin. It's the perfect distillation of the ambiguity.
If the signs of half-life decay, instability, manipulation start showing up in the real world, or if people from half-life start appearing on the real world's money.
It leaves you with that massive question. Is our own reality any more solid? Are we maybe all just experiencing our own kind of half-life, constantly fighting off some form of decay or unreality without even knowing it? Makes you wonder just how firm the ground under your feet really is.